Hello and welcome to Gamers Getting Older.
where a group of older gamers get together
Talk about the good old days of gaming.
and how times have changed for the better or worse. I'm Brendan.
I'm Steven.
I'm Nick, and we are
Gamers
Getting older.
Wow, that was
Perfect, guys. Perfect.
that was good, but not great.
Welcome to Gamers Getting Older, the only podcast on the network that has a easy to use carrying handle applied directly to the back of it. I'm Nick, and joining me is Brendan and Steven. And today we're talking about the Nintendo GameCube, a system that I'm actually surprisingly very excited to talk about.
what makes you so excited to talk about the GameCube, Nick?
Well, like going back and doing some research on some of the games that came out on it and just trying to think about what was going on at that time, in Nick's world, it brought back a lot of memories. And I actually have a lot of really fond memories of the GameCube. It took a lot of my time.
I remember how excited I was when I got the GameCube on Christmas. I didn't think I would be. Like looking back at it, I remember being super ecstatic. And all we had was some racing game. I can't even remember what the hell it was called.
Again, this was another system that I didn't own.
Jesus.
I only ever, bro, I was po. Couldn't afford all the new things.
I was Poe. You were one of the people that had the PS2 until the PS4 was released, weren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I had my PS2 that long until it finally quit working. When was the PS4 released? Not to get off topic.
04. No. When? What? Which one?
Yeah, I was going to say 2004.
No.
2013.
Yeah.
Pretty close. I had my PS2 and it was still working until probably 2008, 2009. And I was still actively playing it.
I don't think there's a single episode that we have not started that we have stayed on topic.
What we do best.
Well, the GameCube was actually the first system that I ever bought for myself. So my birthday is after Christmas, but before the next year. So it's within that window of time.
Oh.
And so basically I got Christmas money and I got birthday money, and I had been saving up money all throughout the year. And I had, with the combined holidays for me, I had enough money to go out and buy myself a Nintendo GameCube because I think they were like $250.
I don't feel like they were super expensive. I feel like Nintendo is one thing that their systems have never been crazy priced in comparison to some of the others.
Yeah, I don't remember the GameCube being. It had to have been either 250 or 300 when it came out, because it was not they don't charge a lot for their systems.
Yeah, it was $199. It was $199 for the Nintendo GameCube on release.
Look at that. I mean, that's why I was able to buy it with birthday and Christmas money. I mean, 50 from grandma, 50 from the parents, and then 50 from grandma, 50 from the parents.
And all you had to do is save some lunch money throughout the year to cover the tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I played most of my GameCube stuff. It was either at your house or my next door neighbor, she had one. And I played a lot of Super Monkey Ball. Super Monkey Ball was our go-to game on the GameCube for a long time.
Super Monkey Ball is a terrific game. It's like a marble game, super marble game, but there's a little monkey inside. And you can do a lot of cool things.
You just got to collect bananas and make it to the end. I think the crazy thing with that was the timer. You were racing to complete mazes, but the levels would be moving, and you had to kind of time it just right. And if your Super Monkey Ball hit something, it would fly off backwards, off the level. Such a weird puzzle solving game, really, is all it really was, but with a story, because there was some big crazy monkey who was stealing all the bananas. And so you were trying to beat him, but by beating him, you were just running through these mazes. And somehow that was going to get you to be able to beat the big crazy baboon who was stealing all of your resources.
I love those games. I actually have the new one, Banana Blitz or whatever, on Switch.
Of course you do. I still have Super Monkey Ball for my GameCube. I actually played it. I played it after I got my GameCube. I played it a few times, and I was like, this game is still pretty amazing. Wildly more difficult when you have not played a GameCube in years. I struggled.
Any game.
Yeah.
Any game that we have not played since the older days is wildly more difficult now. I just looked it up. The racing game that I had when I first got my GameCube was Extreme G Racing.
Sounds familiar.
It was it was actually on the PlayStation 2 as well. It was you're basically on these like motorcycles. It's like a futuristic 23rd century style. They've got like twisty turn tracks and everything. But yeah, I looked it up just to see what the hell it was, and as soon as I saw the cover for it, I was like, "Oh, this is it." I remember playing it for hours on Christmas Day when me and my brother got it, and then we had to stop because my mom wanted to watch her All My Children soap opera. Out of here.
I was more of a General Hospital fan. I actually used to talk to Steven's grandma about General Hospital when I'd stay over at him and Mike's at Mike's house.
Yeah, he really did.
Jesus.
My grandmother would watch that, and then I think Days of Our Lives. I can still remember the intro to that stupid soap opera.
Yeah.
And so are the days of our lives.
She would stay up and watch the super late like rebroadcast at like 1 a.m.
Jeez.
Like she was up way late. Because I remember sleeping in the living room and we just took the cushions off the couch and slept on the floor on top of them.
Yeah. My grandma was like the only old person I know that would stay up till like 1, 2 in the morning and sleep till like 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Like one of us.
One of us. One of us. I'm gonna get the question out early today. What was the #1 selling game on the GameCube?
Oh, I'm gonna say Smash Brothers Melee.
I'm gonna say Paper Mario.
Paper Mario? Well, you can say Paper Mario, but you're wrong. It was Super Smash Brothers Melee with 7.9 million as of March 10th, 2008.
I figured it was gonna be that, but I didn't want to piggyback along Nick's answer.
But I mean, here's the thing: is out of all the Smash games, Melee is the one held in the highest regard. It's the quintessential best Smash game they've ever made.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of traffic.
I think the controller helped. I think that was the other reason why I just loved Smash Brothers Melee was because I liked the GameCube controller. Like I felt like it was easy to play Melee with that controller. I mean, even
you sure it's not because they had your Sword Boys?
Definitely wasn't just that. Because even when I started playing it on the Wii, I liked that you had the adaptation that you could plug in the GameCube controller into the Wii and still play with that controller.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's the cool thing about the Wii when it came out was it was basically just a better GameCube.
Yeah,
I actually have a USB Retro Ink GameCube controller that I use for my Dolphin emulator on my PC. So when I play GameCube games or Wii games, I actually have the classic GameCube controller to use.
Nice.
And it's such an interesting controller to go from the Nintendo 64 controller to the GameCube controller is such a leap because gone are the C buttons, replaced with the C stick, which is just the C buttons combined, but it's used for almost the same purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just a very clunky second joystick that would later just be replaced by another joystick. You know, it was like Nintendo refused to concede that dual analog was the best. And so they're like, no, this isn't a second joystick. This is the C stick. No, it's not a joystick. No. This is the C stick. This is completely different. Completely different. I think the most interesting thing about this controller is how they brought back the X and the Y button. And the position is very like fun and also like super accessible. Like the way the B button is still small, the A is big, and then the X and the Y kind of like circle around the A button. It's very comfortable. I would say the only strange button on here is the Z button because it's just like this weird small blue button up top.
Right up,
Like you have these really big, really fun, clicky shoulder buttons, bumpers. And then this bumper shoulder buttons,
like shoulder buttons.
And then you have this little weird Z button, and then it's got the D-pad, joystick, and then just one start button. But I mean, overall, this controller design works, obviously, because they kept the compatibility into the first drafts of the Wii. And like with Smash Brothers, everybody used it. I mean, it was great. The only thing that was better than the original GameCube controller is the Wavebird wireless GameCube controller that they released. Did you guys ever have those?
Yes. It was a little bulkier, but I loved it because you even had a little the turn knob at the bottom to like make the vibrate like stronger or weaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Wavebirds are so sought after. They're very expensive to buy if you're looking to buy one today. Good luck. So I mean, it had wireless controllers if you had cash to shell out for it. The GameCube also had internet connectivity to play awesome games released on it, like Phantasy Star Online.
Woo!
Heck yeah! Have we talked about that game yet?
I don't think we've talked about that game yet.
The GameCube actually did release a keyboard controller, where it was a giant GameCube controller with the keyboard in the middle, so that you could play your PSO. Very accommodating, and we did play this. I remember playing this 4 players locally, Steven, with you and another friend and my brother, I believe.
I do remember, playing that as well. I did not realize they released a controller with a full keyboard in the middle.
Yes. It's literally it's like you take a GameCube controller and just elongate it in the middle, and it is a full keyboard. Like, he's not joking.
I just pulled it up. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Minus like the number pad on the side, it like ends with the like enter and everything over. But I mean, it's basically a full keyboard. It's insane. Ridiculous.
That's insane compared to what was it? PlayStation, whoever that just had the pop-in mini keyboard that went like underneath that, was super tiny, like you were texting on a BlackBerry.
Oh, no. The PS3 controller one?
Yeah. No, Nintendo's just like, here's a full keyboard.
Yeah.
With full-size buttons and everything. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong there. I mean, the PS2 and the GameCube both had full keyboard controllers, and then they just went away. There's still online games played with keyboard chat right now on consoles. They should bring them back.
Yeah, but a lot of newer consoles now have USB support or Bluetooth support. So like the PS4, you don't necessarily need that full controller because you could play with your controller and then like the USB charging port, like where you plug in your charger to charge your wireless controller. If you plug in a keyboard in that, the PlayStation will pick it up and recognize it.
Yeah, and it works with wireless keyboards too.
Right.
But come on, how cool would it look? Come on, have that half controller with the big keyboard in the middle. How cool would that look? Have it be wireless and have the big PlayStation LED light across the top.
I can imagine the downfall of these was and still would be when you get so angry gaming, instead of like throwing the controller, you just bend it over the knee. Just
break it like a skateboard.
just bend the knee.
Yeah. Just bend the knee. as the keys shatter and shoot up into your face as the keyboard controller split in two. How epic would it be that the F key like hit you in the eye?
F in chat.
F's in chat for sure. So what were some of your guys' favorite games on the GameCube?
Oh, the first one that comes to mind is Pikmin.
Yeah, Pikmin was good.
I loved Pikmin. Oh my gosh, I love Pikmin. I loved Pikmin so much that I used the world's worst excuse to get out of hanging out with some friends to stay home and play it.
How do you feel, Steven?
I'm curious to hear the excuse because I'm wondering if it's one I remember.
Well, it wasn't you. So there was this group of people I used to hang out with a long time ago. One of them's name was Sean, I know, but they were an older group of people from school, and we would literally go to like a cafe and drink coffee. It was a very bourgeois little group of friends. And so they showed up at my house one day, like out of the blue. This is before cell phones. So they just showed up, and which was normal. And they just asked, I went outside to talk to them, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to go get some coffee?" And I was like, "Oh, guys, so I already went to a friend's house today, and my parents said that I can only go one big place a day right now. So I can't go with you guys. I'm so sorry." Nowadays, I would just say, no, I want to stay home and play Pikmin. I have to help Captain Olimar get off this planet. But back then, I didn't know how to turn people down, so I had to make up ridiculous things.
Guys, I got to go shave my dad's back real quick,
Yeah.
I'll meet you later.
This isn't my decision, guys. I want to go. but I only have one big place to go charge a day, and I've used it up.
So how does that work if they call you out and they're like, oh, well, can we like talk to your dad or talk to your mom and just, we're just going to get coffee. It's not really a big thing.
Well, that was one of the last times I ever saw them, so I don't think they bought it. I think they put the pieces together. But I stayed home and I played Pikmin all damn night.
That's
amazing.
What about you guys?
You really don't have to guess what one of my favorite games for the GameCube was. It was the re-release of Ocarina of Time, the Master Quest.
The Master Quest stuff they released to hype up Wind Waker.
Because it was so much. I loved it because you could go through and beat the game originally, and then once you beat it, you could go replay it, but as the Master Quest, where things were complete, like the dungeons were like reversed, and like you had to do things in a different order, or like go different ways instead. And it was a whole new challenge on the game, and I loved it. I mean, there was so many new, like it felt like a totally new game, and I got to relive my favorite game again.
In some of the ways, it almost was. I mean, like it had better graphics, more difficult dungeons. There were some of the items that were optional in your first playthrough that were now required to progress in this one. And all the gold Skulltulas got moved around. It's like, I don't want to track all those things down again.
I remember going to the tree and I was like, all right, I know where this is. I'm gonna go get it. It's not there. Where's it at? No. Trying to re-find everything. It was terrible.
Crazy because I remember having that game, like the box game of that, and playing it and enjoying it. And I didn't even own a GameCube, but I remember owning that game. I have no idea where it's at now. I'm just looking at it to get it. Like if I wanted to rebuy it, it's like $100.
Yeah,
if you get
it's
lucky.
ridiculous. GameCubes are absolutely like insane because it was such a great system.
Like, it's a great system, and it was also not a very like super popular system. I mean, it only sold about 21.75 million units. The game list is pretty short. I mean, like, if you look at its competition, it was rolling with the PS2 and the Xbox. And then the Xbox released this just like physical toxic masculinity nuclear machine, and Sony released this amazing sleek blue and black design that just had so many good games. And then Nintendo was like, hey, look at this little lunchbox. It's got a handle and the discs are really small. Isn't that cool? And we put a C-stick on our controller. How's that? Is that cool?
I also really loved SSX Tricky. I played the crap out of it on GameCube.
Oh, heck yeah.
Loved it.
And that's one of those games that, I mean, honestly, like this is the era we're getting into now, this generation of consoles beyond like 64 and stuff. Like this is the generation where there's some system exclusives, but a lot of games were released across the platforms. And it just sort of happens, whatever system you had at the time is the one you played it on. Yeah. Like The Simpsons Hit and Run. I played that on the GameCube only, but it was released on Xbox and PS2 also.
Yeah. I was gonna say I played SSX Tricky on the GameCube and Xbox, but I mostly played it on the GameCube. Steven, what games you play?
On the GameCube?
Yeah, the system you didn't own.
Smash Brothers?
Smash Brothers. a lot of Smash Brothers. I actually think at one point in time I bought just a GameCube controller because we were playing so much Smash Brothers that I just wanted to make sure I had my own so I didn't get stuck with one that like been thrown into the ground a few times. And
yeah,
the old football spike.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, GameCube controllers are durable and hardy. I've never broken one.
You get a little rattle inside, but it still works.
Still works just fine. Like all the buttons are fine. Like the shoulders are still clicky. The joysticks work, both of them.
Your shoulder pads work fine.
I know the thing that was nice about the GameCube was the addition of the memory card for the GameCube. Like having the ability, like when you're playing like Resident Evil or something like that, to have a save that you could like take with you and play someplace else. Like I feel like the memory card was just such a crucial thing when it came out for any system. But the idea that you had one on the GameCube was pretty great because I mean
that was the end of the era right there for that. Yeah, I mean, at that time, all of the I think the only console that you could store internally was Xbox because it just came with a hard drive.
Yeah.
But Xbox still did make that memory card that went into the top of the controller, didn't they?
I believe so. Yeah.
Which was also like a big bulky memory card. But it's funny because we talked about like Sega Genesis and some other consoles, and it makes me wonder if Nintendo looked at creating the smaller disc as a way to prevent like pirating. Like, you can't pirate our games. We'll put it on a disc that's 4 times smaller than the normal disc.
It could be.
Good luck.
I mean, nobody even wants to buy mini discs, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Smash Brothers was probably a lot of what I played. And then some Resident Evil, both at Nick's and at my uncle's house, because he was always been a Resident Evil fanboy. And so he played a lot of that. And I remember playing Resident Evil 4. And Resident Evil 4, I remember being like just an awesome, awesome game on the GameCube. Like it was a game that was made really well for that system and played really well on that system.
Oh yeah, I remember I was so excited for Resident Evil 4 because like the GameCube was such a powerhouse for RE because it had RE remake, it had RE remake, it had RE Zero, and it had Resident Evil 4. Which, oh my goodness, the first two are amazing. I mean, Resident Evil Zero is a prequel to Resident Evil 1, the remake, and Resident Evil 4 obviously is a sequel to Code Veronica and all the other previous games. But it's a complete departure from what you're used to. There's no pre-rendered backgrounds. You control the camera. It's over the shoulder. You can aim the gun. You still can't move when you shoot, but that's okay. I mean, it was a masterpiece. It was a beautiful, amazing Resident Evil. It was so good that when I played 5, I was like, "What is this garbage?" And I just haven't played a new Resident Evil game since 4 until Resident Evil 2 remake came out.
5 was the one that was like mission based, right?
5 was the one that started in some desert town, and you were Chris and some other character, and I don't know. I think it's the one where Chris punches a boulder.
Yeah, but I think
don't
it was
know.
like it was very linear.
I think it was. I
Yeah.
honestly don't know. I don't remember. I've only played the first like 20 minutes of it.
I do think that, yeah, because I do remember playing this one and it being totally different than the rest of the Resident Evils. And you're right. I played it only because I bought it, and then I never played another Resident Evil after that of like the new Resident Evils, because I'm like, this is just not the same style game. You weren't like solving puzzles or doing these things. Like if you did solve a puzzle, it's because you had to, because once you came to that puzzle, there was no other way to go. Like you were like, oh, we'll figure out this puzzle or just stop playing. Versus like old Resident Evil, you could come across the puzzle that, yeah, you may have to figure out, but if you don't figure it out right away, you can just like, I'm just going to leave this room. I probably need to be in here, but I'm going to leave this room. I'm going to go do something else. And I'm going to come back when I'm not pissed about having to solve what order to click pictures in or something crazy.
Right. One thing about the GameCube I remember is going to a Super Smash Brothers Melee tournament with you and your uncle. Your uncle is heavily involved in this section of my life, but I had my broken collarbone at the time. And if you remember, it was at that GameStop in that shopping center on the West End, and the TVs were actually mounted on the ceiling. And I had to sit in this chair and like look up and play. And like I had this weird bra thing on holding my shoulders back because my collarbone was busted. And I'm trying to like look up and play Fox. And I just got destroyed. And I didn't progress at all.
Which was so funny because just like now, then Nick was just a monster at Super Smash Brothers, like a force to be reckoned with. But because of his broken collarbone and just being there, it was kind of like you see in movies where they're like, dude, I still have my sticks. I wouldn't have lost if I had my own sticks. Like,
yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Jeez,
it was
sucks.
almost as bad as when Halo 3 came out, I remember I had a PA speaker in my truck. I had the speaker mounted under the hood, and I drove up to, I believe it was Game Crazy, the one that was attached to Hollywood Video. I drove up to that playing the Halo theme song through the PA speaker on my truck. And like it was a really exciting night, and they had a Halo tournament that night that I entered, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I got wiped clean first round. Wham. Like this chick just destroyed me.
Did you guys ever do any of the like Mario games on the GameCube, like Sunshine or Paper?
Oh heck yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
both of those games were amazing.
Super Mario Sunshine was a lot of fun. It was one of my favorites.
Gorgeous. It took me a while to come around to that game. When it first came out, I was like, it's not Super Mario 64. What is this like water pack? Is he some sort of aquatic Atlantean Ghostbuster? Like, I don't get it.
You want to know a fun fact about Super Mario Sunshine? Is in the first
enlighten me.
In the first 10 days of its release, it sold more than 350,000 copies in the US. In the first 4 days in Japan, sold 400,000 copies. It surpassed the launch sales of both Grand Theft Auto 3, Halo for the Xbox, and Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64 for launch days. It outsold all three of those within the first 10 days.
Mario is a tried and true hit, like no matter what.
I mean, it actually boosted the sales of the GameCube because of that game.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, it's just insane how much people love Mario. That when that game was released, just think about Halo was like how Halo and Grand Theft Auto, like they're staples and the gaming community now. And just thinking like Super Mario Sunshine was like, eat my dust, and just like boom above you.
And I think that's a good example of like you can be genre defining, but you're not Mario. You know, like Mario is in a class of his own. Like just when you thought that they were out of ideas, they released Super Mario Odyssey, and all of a sudden you're throwing your hat and becoming other things.
Yeah.
Like how amazing is that? You can become a little bowl of lightning or a fork and like fling yourself up, or a T-Rex. I mean, come on.
Nintendo's literally like, anything you can do, I can do better. Bam, Mario.
Incredible. And then they were like, oh well, let's let them hide balloons. That should be fun. And then that just drastically expanded the life of Super Mario Odyssey. Now there's online competition play. Like they're brilliant. Like Mario is amazing. Anybody that doesn't think so doesn't really care about gaming. Like, come on.
I have to say, I am like Nick in this scenario. When they re-released for the Switch the 3 game pack, the Mario 64, Sunshine, and then the Odyssey, I bought the actual hard copy, the game for the Switch. I actually have the hard copy with
Super Mario 3D All Stars.
Yep, that's the 3D All Stars. Yeah, that's it.
I bought it physically too, and they actually said it was going to be a limited physical release, so I kind of panicked and I bought it. But I went and looked online to see if I could buy it anywhere, and you still can't. So I'm like, why?
A few years.
Why are you doing this, Nintendo? You make me think I'm ahead of the curve, and you're like, not on this one. Yeah.
They ensue panic just to hype sales.
And normally they do the complete opposite, where they accidentally or just choose not to release enough and create scarcity on all of its own. And this time they were like, maybe.
Yeah. A game was surprisingly difficult, but I still loved, was Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember ever beating the game, but I loved playing it.
That's a game that I believe I played, but I don't remember if I did.
Well, I remember asking you if I could borrow it on the Switch because I wanted to try it with my son. I just haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't borrowed it yet.
Yeah, I have it on the Switch. I've played it for about 10 minutes, and what I've played is sweet.
Yeah.
I need to play it more. I've been playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses lately, having tea parties with people at school and stuff. Like literal tea parties. Like I offer them tea, and I'm sitting across from them at the table, and they're drinking tea, and I'm asking them topical questions that they do or do not like, and if they don't like what I'm talking about, they like scowl at me, and I lose points. It's like, I invited you to this tea party. This is my tea. Like, cut me some slack here. If I want to talk, like, I chose cats as a topic, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about cats." Like, get out. This is my tea party. bitch.
Stop drinking my tea and please leave.
Yeah, put your old gray down and step out the door.
That's funny.
The GameCube, like honestly, was it wasn't just a Smash machine, but it was a heavily used Smash machine. I remember this one time when I was younger. Super Smash Bros. Melee was big. Obviously, GameCube was out. Blah blah blah. I didn't have a license or anything, but I had met this new kid, and I was going to stay the night at his house and play Smash with him. But I was a very shy, weird, awkward kid back then. Like even with Steven, who I had known since kindergarten, like I would freeze up at his house and sweat. I didn't know what to do. I'm a weirdo. I've gotten a little better though. But I remember specifically, I stayed over at this kid's house. I didn't know him that well. I liked him, but I didn't know him that well. But we played Smash Brothers in this like kind of like off room next to the kitchen, like all night, right? Like by 8, 9, 10 o'clock, I'm like starving, but no food is offered. Like at no point is he like, oh, do you want some food? You know what I mean? Like, or anything. So I'm just like sitting there all night and like, I just feel so weird. And I'm too nervous to ask for this food. So I'm just very hungry playing Smash Brothers, just trying to stay focused on the game. And I felt so weird. And eventually the kid fell asleep and I just kept playing Smash Brothers. I didn't know what to do. I just kept playing Smash Brothers until about 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning when I knew my mom was awake because she wakes up super early. I called her. I was like, come pick me up, please. And so I started getting my stuff together and I tried to do it quietly because I didn't want to be rude, Like, why is this kid just like randomly leaving at like 6 in the morning? Like, haven't even slept. And I remember, like, as I'm getting my stuff together, he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, are you leaving, man?" And I said, "Yeah, man. Early bird gets the worm." And I just left. Like I got in my mom's car and I was like, "Please, God, take me to McDonald's." And that was the night.
What the hell?
It's so funny that you bring up your mom getting up early because I was about to tell a story about you staying at the house. Like anytime he would come over and stay, if we were playing video games and we were up until like 3 a.m., if we hit that 3 a.m. mark, Nick wasn't sleeping at my house because he only lived a block away. We used to skateboard to one another's house. So if we hit 3 a.m., he knew that his mom was going to be up in like 2 hours. So like he'd be like, "Yeah, dude, I'm just going to hang out until my mom gets up and I'm going to go home and sleep in my bed." I'm like, "You sure?" Like he's like, "Yeah, dude, it's no big deal." I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I just got used to it. I was like, "Well, go out the side door and lock it behind you."
I don't know why. I've always like I love staying at people's houses and like staying all night. Like Steven, you're the first house that I ever stayed at, but I love just like the early morning, like morning crisp and going home and just getting in bed. Like, is there something special about that moment?
Like walking with the dew on the grass and just that fresh, clean air. And you're like, I'm about to go to bed. I'm about to just pass out hard.
Yeah. I mean, that was back when I would sleep until 1 or 2 in the afternoon, like casually.
Jeez.
Now I couldn't do that if I tried.
No.
I would feel so guilty.
I feel terribly guilty if I sleep past like 8 because I know there's been a few times where like I don't even realize it and like I'll go to bed late or something and wake up at like 8:30, 8:45, and I roll over and realize, oh crap, it's after 8 o'clock. Kate's not in bed. And I can hear the kids screaming downstairs. And I walk downstairs and I just get the death eyes from across the living room. And I'm like, my bad. Hi, go take a nap.
I rolled over on my phone. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm usually up by about 9 or so. But if we stay up late, there's times on the weekends I can still sleep until like 11. But a lot of times my wife will sleep in too, and rarely is she up like super early. But there are times that I've slept that late, and by the time I get up, it's usually that kind of look because it's like she took both dogs out, fed the dogs, and I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. Slept a little longer than I planned.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like at least one of us got up, because then there's other times that we've gone out and had drinks and stuff, and we've stayed up late, the two of us, and next thing you know, we both sleep until like 11 o'clock. And I'm like, oh God, the dogs need to go out. Like neither one of us got our asses up. So you're like panicking to get out of bed to take them out. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I played a lot of on.
I feel like there's a game on the GameCube that you might have played a lot. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like because I was a big Metal Gear Solid fan, so I feel like I would have played that one. But it's so hard because I just don't remember. Like I don't remember playing a whole lot of games on GameCube. Like I said, I didn't own one, so. But I was always with people, so I know that I feel like I had to have played more of these games than I can remember.
Did you guys ever have the Game Boy Advance adapter for it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I played Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles with that connector. But you know the problem with those is that you just never had all four when you needed them.
And they were relatively expensive for that stupid cable.
They were.
It was like a $20 or $25 cable.
I mean, like nowadays it's not terrible, but nowadays it's like, oh, that's not bad. But when you're, get your allowance the last week of the year and you buy the GameCube, you got to wait a whole nother year to get that $20.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you think about it though, in like comparison to the actual cost of the GameCube, that was 10% of the GameCube cost for an accessory. I mean, that's a little excessive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I specifically remember one time playing Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles where we went to Walmart to buy a Game Boy Link cable, and we left with one, but we didn't make a purchase. And I didn't know the plan, so I almost blew the whole damn thing right out of the door. And I think the statute of limitation is up for this, so I think it's safe to talk about this.
I remember us walking out, and Nick is like, wait, what? I just had to like wrap my arm around his shoulder and like pull his head down and just say, no, dude, it's fine. We're good. Like,
I remember because we were walking around and somebody was holding the package for the Game Boy Link cable. And then we were leaving the store and nobody had the package for the Game Boy Link cable. And I was like, I thought we came here to buy a Game Boy Advance Link cable.
But yet
you're like, shut up.
It didn't click with him why at one point in time while we were in Walmart, we were in the lawn and garden section. Like we had no intentions of buying fertilizer. Why were we over there? Well, that's where we needed to dispose of said packaging.
My sweet innocent mind couldn't think as a criminal.
poor Nick got roped in, doesn't even know it.
That's how Walter White started, man. That's a dangerous road to go down.
We needed a fall guy. But yes, I remember us having at some point in time like 4 of those adapters because we played a lot of Crystal Chronicles, which was just the craziest game to play, to have like 4 people sitting there all tied into the GameCube and then holding a Game Boy in their hands.
You're holding the Game Boy Advance SP to play the game on the system. And it was cool because you would have like the map and like menus and stuff on the Game Boy screen so that you could like play the game. But it's so much extra, you know?
It really was. Like it was definitely above and beyond what they probably needed for that. Because there again, like if you wanted to play this game, now you had to go out and buy a Game Boy SP if you didn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
I actually still have mine. I think I actually still have the adapter too for the GameCube.
Is it the one you acquired?
It might be because I don't actually know where this one came from either.
Jesus.
Did you guys know the video cables for GameCubes are actually really expensive? Or because the original ones, because there's a certain like chip in there that does something that's like unique to the GameCube that makes the actual like cables to plug them into your TV expensive. So there's like different things that you can do. Like there's actually an HDMI upscaler you can buy for your GameCube that costs about $100 that plugs into the ports in the back and you can just run it out HDMI and it actually looks good.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
know that.
I do have the original cables because I was able to get a GameCube actually from my next door neighbor that I used to play the GameCube. I messaged her a few months ago and was like, "Hey, do you still have this?" She had that and I think a Super Nintendo or maybe an N64 or something. And I was trying to offer to buy them from her because she's not obviously not a big gamer, but she ended up keeping the N64 because she's got a son. But she's like, "I'm not going to do anything with the GameCube if you're interested in it." She's like, "You can just have it." And then I felt like super guilty. I'm like, I can't just have it. I'm like, I don't think you understand that this GameCube would sell for a decent chunk of change. Like, you're the original owner. It's in great condition. And she's like, no, you
Yeah.
can just have it. So like I paid for shipping and then I think I gave her like 50 or $60 for it. I mean, it was still a steal for
It was it was so hard for me the other day. I was on Facebook Marketplace and there was a GameCube that was like $80 and it still had like 2 or 3 controllers. And I almost was just like, screw it and bought it. But I regret not doing it now. But I knew I would get yelled at because I just bought a bunch of other things.
Honestly, in my opinion, like own a GameCube for your collection, but use a Wii to play the games.
Yeah.
Because it's just a better GameCube. There's more of them, and it's cheaper. It's more accessible. You know, the only drawback is that you have to set up that damn bar, that sensor bar for the controller.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in another episode, though.
unless you've got the unless you do have a GameCube controller, because you can just plug it into the Wii and play your GameCube games with the GameCube controller on the Wii.
I don't think there's a way to get past the initial Wii menu without the Wiimote.
Interesting.
I think you have to click on the menu because when you use Dolphin emulation, it skips the boot menu and goes straight into the game.
Interesting.
Again, that's another episode.
we will find out the answer to that and answer it on another episode.
But going back to these original GameCube component cables, I just looked some up on eBay. $338, $313, $330.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it's actually cheaper to upscale your GameCube to HD than it is to look for original component cables. So just do that instead.
But maybe I should just sell my original component cables.
If they're the special ones, if they're the ones, then you could sell that, make a profit. And
they're
then,
the originals, so I don't know if there was a time period in which that was contained. I would have to check, but yeah, interesting.
Wasn't the adapter needed for Animal Crossings too?
you did need it for Animal Crossing. There was a special island that you could go to, and you could actually upload the island to your Game Boy. And there was a Game Boy version of the Animal Crossing you would play, and you could make changes and edit your island and do things, and then upload those changes back into the GameCube game.
Huh. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I played Animal Crossing was on the Switch. I just remember people talking about it.
That's okay. I played the first one. I didn't play any of the other ones until Animal Crossing on the Switch. Not because I didn't want to, just because I didn't know about, like, I knew about Animal Crossing City Folk, but I didn't end up getting it because none of my friends got it. And I mean, like, during that time, you're honestly kind of going with the flow. You know what I mean? It's not until you get older till you really start playing games for yourself again. You go through a period where you're playing what everybody's playing because you want to be in the group.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You know, you're playing mainly those games and meeting and playing with friends who are playing those games. And typically, if you're playing something else, it was like late at night. You didn't necessarily play it very often, especially when we got into the realm of like online games and stuff.
Did you guys play Wind Waker?
I loved Wind Waker. I 100% blew people off for Wind Waker. I got so sucked into this game when I started it that I played it for like damn near 2 days straight and beat it almost in one sitting. Like, I couldn't stop playing this game. I plowed through this son of a bitch.
Wow.
I loved the graphics of it. Like, just the going, like, that cartoonish look to it. Sorry, I like graphics.
Oh, the cell shaded graphics were awesome. And I remember when it was first coming out, everybody was like, well, this looks like a kid's game. This doesn't look serious like, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. but it is. It is. It is, I swear.
It's actually hard for me. Sorry, I was gonna say, it's actually hard for me because like I loved watching Wind Waker. Like I remember you playing it and stuff, and I love the original Zeldas. And I have Skyward Sword on my Switch, but I don't have like anything else. And I never played Wind Waker, and I've never played Breath of the Wild. I've never, and I think not owning a GameCube is where my like fanboyness for Zelda started to like fall off because I didn't play any of these.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then when they started to come out on other systems, like like the Switch and stuff, I just never was like hyped about it because I just didn't play the old ones. And I go back and think about it, and it kind of upsets me because like I loved the original Zelda so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I even had at some point in time as a kid like the cartridge for the Nintendo one. And I remember having like a printout of the map, like the flat side-scrolling map, so you could figure out like where to go on the original Nintendo. But
Mhm.
yeah, when I got into the GameCube stuff, like I remember Nick playing it, and I was the same way because I was really kind of like I was like, oh, this shell shaded thing. I don't know how I feel about it. But then when I watched Nick play it, I was like, oh, this is pretty dope. Like it looks really cool. But unfortunately, it's one that I never played, and to this day, I still haven't played. And I definitely probably should like pick it up and give it a go.
Yeah. I just liked how it like picked up after, Ocarina of Time, and after you've defeated Ganon and everything.
Yeah, and it's also it's the first game post the Adult Link timeline,
Mhm.
which is like, and this is an interesting thing. It's almost like Future Trunks in Dragon Ball, where he went back in time and changed the future or changed the past, but it didn't matter. His future still sucked.
Yeah.
Like when Link goes back in time after he defeats Ganon, when he goes back in time, they've sealed Ganon away. That future continues, and then Link goes back as a kid, and then has the Majora's Mask escapades,
Mhm.
and then his child self eventually does things and dies in the forest and becomes a Stalfos, and and then the Twilight Princess takes place in that world. But in the other one, where he left and went back to become a child, Ganon was sealed away, but it was eventually broke out, and they used the Triforce to flood Hyrule, which is what created the world of Wind Waker. That's why everything is water. And I loved that about Wind Waker, how I had all these callbacks to
Mhm.
Ocarina of Time, the hero of time. And also, one of the things that I absolutely loved about Wind Waker was that it doesn't start with this idea of a grand quest in mind. You're not like a chosen hero to be from the beginning. You're just a kid on his birthday, and you put on these green clothes just because there's a fable of a young boy who saved the world or whatever, and this is kind of the clothes he wore. So it's happenstance. It's a costume, and then your sister gets kidnapped after you save this pirate chick. Just a random coincidence, and then you're like, okay, I need to go save my sister, and that's what starts the adventure. It has nothing to do with the Triforce or Ganon. Nobody even knows that exists. It's all just fable stories to them, and that's what I love about it, where they're like looking back on history and going, oh, that actually happened, this is real, I am actually somebody important. It doesn't start out with them having a destiny to fulfill. They're just trying to do this one thing, and it leads to this grand adventure with a talking boat and sunken treasure.
Yeah.
And it's such a great, awesome game. And that climax shot at the end when you defeat Ganon, oh, it's cell shaded, but that's hardcore. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
I actually wanted to go replay it again. I want to buy it for the Switch and replay. And
I wish it would come out on the Switch.
I know I need it to.
They did an HD remaster of it on the Wii
It's on
U.
the Wii. Yep.
So if you have a Wii U, you can play it.
Mhm.
If you have access to that, you can play it. I was actually playing it on Dolphin, but it's not the HD remaster version.
I need to get this Dolphin emulator and then get a controller and play.
Yeah, I actually have a USB GameCube controller, 64 controller, and Super Nintendo controller.
Fancy. Got that adult money now.
No, these are relatively cheap controllers. Honestly, one of them broke my computer once. Well, not
Oh, no.
completely broke it, but like it wouldn't like work until I unplugged it, and I was like, "What the hell's wrong?" I think there was a firmware problem or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm no cybernetics expert.
Didn't on the GameCube had Soul Calibur 2 and Link came as a special character on it?
Oh heck yeah!
I remember playing Soul Calibur. I think honestly, I think the GameCube is where I played 90% of Soul Calibur.
It was my first Soul Calibur experience.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things about the GameCube that also makes it special that I was thinking about was
The
up until
C-stick.
this up until this point, me and my brother played games together. Me and my dad, we all played PlayStation together and stuff and PS2 together. You know, you would have all the game systems in the living room on that big 5,000-pound wooden entertainment center that you would have to drag out every Friday night and undo the red, white, and yellow cables to plug in whatever system you were going to play on the back of the TV, and then move the whole damn thing back just to play your games. You know, like that was the norm. But now I had the TV in my room. I bought my own GameCube. My brother wasn't really into what Nintendo was putting down. He's 3 years older than me. So, I mean, I understand the phase. He wasn't really into gaming at the time at all.
It was a different kind of game.
he liked making fun of me and messing with me. That was the thing for sure. I forgot to tell this story, but there was one time we were playing Halo 1 together. Me and a friend versus him and a friend playing linked in the basement, and we were playing capture the flag, and I actually had their flag and I was hiding at their base and they couldn't find me and they were so pissed off. My brother came and he took a cup of hot wonton soup my dad had just got me from China Star and he dumped it all over. He threw hot wonton all over me because I was hiding his flag at his base. I was like, come on, man.
Wow.
The civil or the Jesus.
Get it out. It's been so long since he's talked.
The rivalry between him and his brother was unmatched, dude. Like, I remember being at his house in the basement, and we'd be like playing something like that, and his brother would be pissed, and he would come down and like basically drop kick the door into the basement and come in just bitching and yelling and like screaming at Nick. And I remember Nick and I got into blow dart guns, and I remember the two of them getting into a fight one time, and he shot his brother in the ass with a dart while his brother was downstairs, I think, with a girl. Like,
well, that's the perfect time to do something bad because he has to be measured in his response, or he looks like a psychopath to the girl and he loses it. So he has to decide what level he's going to respond on, and he's going to have negative connotations for him if he goes too high. You know what I mean? So you're playing with risk and reward here, but it worked out for me, I think. He also threw a dart, like a normal dartboard dart. When we were younger, he threw it, and I tried to jump over it, thinking, "Hey, he's throwing it at my feet." So I jumped to dodge it, and it stuck in my eyelid, like right above my eyeball. I just had this red dart hanging from my face.
Dude, it was insane sometimes at the household.
Jesus.
Beep. But during my research of the GameCube, one of the things that really interested me was this Panasonic Q GameCube with DVD player that was released in Japan. If you guys take a look at that, this thing looks futuristic, and it's basically just a GameCube that can play DVDs. But it looks super fancy. It's got a remote, and it's all silver, and it looks like it's almost got glass paneling.
It's like they turned it on its side and used the handle.
It looks like a toaster.
It's like where the handle was is now a pop-up screen.
Yeah.
Or like I was gonna say, it almost looks like a karaoke machine.
Yeah. It does kind of look like a karaoke machine.
Yeah, and it has all the normal amenities of a GameCube: the disc reader, the 4 control ports, the memory card ports. But it just looks super fancy and like up class, upper class GameCube. But it plays DVDs too, because it was competing with the Xbox and the PS2, which you can obviously play DVDs on. So that's a whole nother reason why it didn't do as well, is because it wasn't a multi-purpose entertainment unit.
Yeah, yeah, and that was a very big thing during that time, was the idea that, remember, that's how we got our PS2. Like my dad or my mom's brother bought it for us for Christmas, and it was he more bought it because it had the built-in DVD player. Because I don't think we had a DVD player yet at the time, because they were still relatively like a new thing. But I remember him buying it to say like, oh, I know Steven likes to play games, but you can also use this as a DVD player, and he bought us that in like a couple DVDs.
Yeah, I mean that was another big thing it had to compete with, that was a contributing factor to the fact that it just didn't sell as well as the other consoles. Versatility is key, but Nintendo is all about doing its own thing, and I think that's why they've been so successful, is because they really don't try to imitate anybody. They just do weird stuff. And they're just like, I hope you like it.
Holy crap. I just looked it up on eBay. Panasonic GameCube used is $429.99 or $1,700. Like it's either around 430 all the way up to 1,700. That's ridiculous. But it looks sleek.
It does.
I mean, it's nice and shiny. It literally looks like a stereo.
Yeah, to me it looks like a very fancy karaoke machine or a stereo. Like, and I remember
Dialogue enhancer, cinema, game reset, bass, surround.
yeah, this kind
Jesus.
of reminds me of, because I remember this being during the time of you had a nice stereo like in your bedroom as a kid. So like this does remind me of like, you go to Best Buy and you're like, man, I really want this stereo because of the way it looks cosmetically. It's like red with neons or whatever lights underneath behind it. That's kind of what it reminds me of, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They made one. I'm sad that it didn't become bigger in the US, because I might have bought it, to be honest. But obviously by then, I had a PS2 also. So, I mean, I had a PS2 first before a GameCube.
The old PS2.
Yeah, I mean, the GameCube was a very fun, unique experience. I mean, all the games, Mario Sunshine, Wind Waker, all that stuff, like it's all great, but honestly, like the main memory, it always goes back to Super Smash Brothers Melee. I mean, I can't tell you how many nights I spent on the weekend with friends in my room. I had like an 18-inch black light that I got from Spencer's, and we would just turn that on. We would have Jack's Pizza. We'd set it on. We would do the Battlefield where you fought the master hand at the end, whatever it was called, final Battlefield or whatever it was called. And we would just play 100 stock, which would take forever, but we turn the time limit off, and we would download Dragon Ball GT on LimeWire, and we would watch an episode of Dragon Ball GT, start the download of the next one, eat Jack's Pizza, play Smash Brothers, kill each other, 10 times each, go back to watching Dragon Ball GT, download another episode, play Smash Brothers, eat pizza. Like it was just this giant cycle. We do this all the time till like 4 a.m, 5 a.m. I mean, like so many memories of just staying up late playing Smash. I mean, the GameCube was one of the last systems you had where you actually had 4 people in the room, sometimes more, like playing Smash. I remember many more than 4 people in the room, and we would rotate losers. I mean, how many times have you had people in the room to rotate losers nowadays? Yeah. Nowhere near enough people.
Yeah. You just made me feel so old with bringing up LimeWire to download stuff and black lights in the room.
I even had this rad like black light poster.
Oh, you want to know what else was in this room to add some age to the gamers getting older? This black light and the black light poster also illuminated his waterbed.
Oh,
hell yeah, boy.
There we go, the waterbed.
Me and my brother had matching waterbeds. Oh, it was real great. It was great because when you spilled something, it rolled all the way underneath the mattress. It's so efficient. And also, if you ever want a bed that you just can't move, get a waterbed. It's just stupid ideas, man. Humans are stupid. We're done.
This week's Gamers Getting Older was brought to you by Waterbeds, Black Lights, and LimeWire.
This week's good not great is waterbeds. They're good
perfect for a good not great.
but they're not great. They suck. They're not even good. Today's don't buy is waterbeds. And I've seen multiple variations of waterbeds because me and my brother had just the giant jug of water, and my parents had that like tube water filled bed where it just had tubes of water. And it's like, why are we going through all this work and worrying about leaks on our bed? This is really stupid. So water beds are good, but they're not as great as literally any other type of bed that exists in the world today.
Do you want back problems when you're in your 30s? Get a water bed when you're 12.
Do you want to feel like you just belly flopped onto water when you fall backwards onto your bed? Would you like red marks all over your body?
Oh, especially
belly flop falling backwards.
if there was no sheath on it, and you like fell backwards onto this bed, it was just the hard like plastic or whatever case, and it was like you belly flopped and hit water because it would make that same noise and give that same effect to your body.
If you're looking for a bed that will work so well that a teenager will sleep in your bed after drinking for the first time and vomit in your bed and allow it to roll under the mattress and start to soak into that super awesome weird plywood that somehow didn't pop the mattress underneath of it, like get a water bed. Also, make sure your automated like mechanical battleship is next to the bed so it gets destroyed too after this asshole throws up in your bed. Why did he sleep in my bed? This isn't a real story. Yeah, it is.
Don't forget to follow us on our socials. Steven, what are those?
It's Gamer Getting Older on Twitter and Gamers Getting Older on Instagram.
Until next time.
And also don't forget to check out our merchandise on gamersgettingolder.com.
Yep. And if we can just get hashtag abolish waterbeds trending on Twitter, that would be great because we need to get the word out and stop these things. There's a lot of people out there making bad choices, guys. Somebody's got to be the voice of reason. Everybody's fighting for something.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go Mac, right? Like,
Do it, baby.